Another edition of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. And again, a special thank you to Stephen Brady and Blue Shamrock Music, who actually helps to support our show. And we thank him for each and every week supplying some amazing artists, just like about the one we're about to meet here in just a moment. And again, we're going strong for 30 minutes after the interview is over. If you've not had the opportunity to check it out right now, don't worry. It'll be on all of our social media outlets, and we'd love to have you check out that interview and share it with others. Without any further ado delay, let's go ahead and meet another amazing artist. He's the one, the only, Mr. Glenn Levi. He's in the house. And again, Glenn, good evening to you, my friend. Well, it's evening here and it's morning where you are. But welcome to the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Russell. Thank you so much for having me on the program. And yes, you're right. It is morning over here. It's around about 7:53 at the moment. It's almost 5 to 8 in the morning. We've been experiencing some mighty hot weather over the last few weeks. So it's starting to cool down a little bit, heading in towards autumn now.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, we're actually coming live from our Niagara Falls studios. We have a studio up in the Carolinas, and I'm actually in our Niagara Falls studios this evening for the interview. And especially up in this area, I mean, the weather's been absolutely amazing. It's been nice and warm, and it's totally unexpected. Normally, there's a lot of snow up this way too, so it's great to finally come to the studio and get some pretty decent weather there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the weather. I don't mind it when it's hot, but when it gets in the 40s, not 40s Fahrenheit, I'm talking about 40s Celsius. We had pretty much a full week of almost 2 weeks of 40-degree temperatures, like 45, 46 degrees, which is incredibly hot for this time of year. Usually our summers are not as hot as that. We might experience 2 or 3 days of 40s, but certainly not over a week of it. But
Wow.
certainly takes it out of you, I can tell you.
I can imagine. Well, let's start off our show. Can you please maybe share with our listeners who are watching now, who watch a little bit later, how'd you get into the music business, and what makes you love music so much?
Well, as most people, as most artists, we grew up around music. We've all grown up around music. And I've kind of been, I've always been interested in music from a very young age. My first band I joined when I was still in school. I think I was 16 years old in my first band. It was just a garage band, but we did all right. We used to have people lined up outside from school, walking home from school, lined up outside the door, listening to us play. And of course, back then it was just all head thumping stuff, AC/DC and all that kind of thing. But over the years, I guess I've been in and out of bands for quite some time, and I've started performing at a lot of different facilities around Perth. I served 10 years in the army as well, so it just so happened that every posting I got, I managed to get myself into a band there as well. So pretty much travelled all around Australia with the army and performed around Australia as well. I started getting quite a lot of gigs from quite a lot of places just from word of mouth. And of course, when COVID hit here in Australia, it took the wind out of everybody's sails. But it was kind of good for me because although I lost all my gigs, I started performing on a couple of platforms on Facebook, just for the heck of it. And you've probably heard of Vanessa Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Vanessa Bourne is the one who spotted me and got me into this business.
Wow.
So long story short, she basically said, I've been watching you on Facebook. I like what you do. Can you write something and send it to me and let me have a listen? So I got out the old guitar, which I'm not that great at, but I wrote a song and I put it down and recorded it and sent it to her. And she said she loved it. And She, of course, sent it to her producer, Kurt Ryle, and they put it together for me, sent it back to me, and I took it to my guy over here and did my vocals and did my backing. I do all my own backing vocals, except for with a few songs. I've actually got a friend of mine to do some backing vocals for me. Um, yeah, "Come Back Baby" came about from there, and I've just kept going from that. So that was back in 2021. I've released now just released my 10th song, and heading up towards my first album release.
Wow,
In
that's
short,
awesome. Can you maybe talk to us about your music right now? You know, about the music you've just released and everything. Can you kind of talk to us about the songs, how they came together, and what does your songwriting look like?
well, a lot of my songs are personal. Everything that I've written about is something that I've experienced through my life. "Come Back Baby" speaks for itself. It's about a guy whose girl leaves him, and of course he wants her back, and so I wrote a song about that. But most of the songs, except for the ones that I've co-written, have all had something to do with my life on a personal level. I think I've done three songs that I've co-written with a lady named Gail Barnard, that also from here in Perth, and she's released two singles at the moment. And I, 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 I kind of, I don't know, I kind of just, I got the bug for it, and I just couldn't stop, so I had to keep going. But I often sit back and I think, well, what am I going to write about next? What's happened to me in my life that I can write about? So this latest one, which is called "She Don't Care." It's a fun little number, basically, and it's all about a guy who works away, and his girlfriend, of course, is very what's the word? She's a very amorous kind of person, if you know what I mean. And
Yes, sir.
she's always ringing him and saying, "I need you to come home." And of course, he's away, and he works away 2 weeks of the, 2 weeks on and a week off, kind of thing. And he's got to try and make the journey home just to keep her happy, and so she doesn't leave him because she threatens him with walking out the door if he doesn't come home to satisfy her needs, so to speak. so, so that's what that's all about, and of course, there's a little bit of me in that song too, because I have experienced that. But I do have another one that I've just written, which won't be out. I'm not going to actually release this one as I have with the others. It will be a bonus track on the album. A lot of people who have already got my singles are probably not going to want to buy the album if they've already got the singles. So I figure, well, as a marketing strategy, I won't release this one. I'll put it on the album as a bonus track. It'll be available to radio stations, so you'll get it as well from Blue Shamrock. But it won't be available for purchase unless the album is purchased. So that's the marketing strategy behind that. And I had a nice long chat to Stephen about that the other day, and he thinks it's a good idea. So that's the way I'll travel. But yeah, pretty much that's how I started off on the music and with my music, and I write about stuff from the heart.
Awesome. What's the best advice you ever got from someone in the music industry?
Best advice I ever got from anyone: keep it real. Keep it real, and don't just be humble. Be yourself and be humble. You know what I mean? That's probably the best advice. And don't let things get to your head, because when you see your name on various charts around the world, you kind of get a bit of a swelled head, as you would. So yeah, even Vanessa, she's the first thing she ever said to me was, she said, now that you're in, she said, keep it real and be yourself, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I love that advice. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, sometimes sometimes we get all caught up in the publicity and the success that you're having. And
Hmm.
I've been in the music industry over 20 years now. Started off with
Yep.
Sony Records, and I can remember in the AR department, you know, you can very easily tell people who are all into it and people who are not. And people are all into it. They're just like the Tim McGraw song, right? Be humble and kind,
Hmm.
and and cherish the relationships you're going to have in the music industry. And if you do that, you can go far, and a lot more other doors going to open for you. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's talk about your shows. I mean, what? So if I'm coming to your show for the very first time, what type of show am I going to be looking forward to seeing?
Well, I am a rock and roll guy from way back. So I do a lot of rock and roll at my shows. I've always been, it's only since I started writing that I've got into country, because I find with country it's a lot easier to write. It's a lot easier to write about things from the heart. With rock and roll, not so much. I mean, you could, but I don't know. It's just easier with country music. But if you were to come to my shows, you would probably. I do a solo act, so I get my, because I don't play an instrument well enough to be able to stand up in front of an audience, right? And trying to get a band together and trying to get people together who are committed enough to stick with it, especially at my age group, because people want to spend time with their families and with their grandkids and all that sort of thing at home on the weekends. They don't want to be out,
Yep,
playing
I
for some
understand.
band. So what I've been getting backing tracks off for me, and so I basically use my backing tracks for when I'm performing. My wife actually does the queuing up for me on the side, out the limelight, and I perform. Yeah, so you probably hear a lot of rock and roll. You'll hear a lot of Elvis. You'll hear a bit of Tom Jones and a bit of Engelbert Humperdinck and a bit of Cliff Richard. And of course I'll showcase my music as well, which always seems to go down well because people like to hear, especially here in Australia, people like to hear original stuff. So that's what you would hear if you were to come to one of my shows.
That's awesome. And one of these days, we're going to have you come down here and maybe do something up in the States. That would be pretty
I would
cool.
love that. I would absolutely love that. It would. It would be the
Yeah.
highlight of my career.
Because I actually, before I got you on the interview, had an opportunity to check out your music. And man, you got a great voice. I love the energy. The one thing I love about your music, I love the energy in that music. I mean, it's like when you listen to your music, it's like you want to listen to it over and over again. Yeah.
Well,
So thank you for
yeah.
making music great, my friend. Are
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much.
there any artists that you look up to?
Look, I have a lot of artists I look up to. Yes, um, goodness me, past and present. I mean, Vanessa has got to be the top of the list, obviously, because I am where I am today because of Vanessa. I owe a lot to her. Um, but look, I love George Jones. I love George Strait. I love Troy Cassadaly from here in Australia. Um, there are so many. I could just sit here. And rattle off an endless list of artists that I look up to. There are so many, and a lot of my music also probably stems a little bit from a little bit of what they do, as in not so much the energy that they put in, but I often sit back and I listen to something of, say, let's say Merle Haggard, for instance, and I listen to it and I think, now where does he get that from? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Why has he written that? What is it about? And I don't just listen to a song as most people probably do when they're driving around listening to their radio. I listen to the lyrics and I listen to where it's coming from within themselves. You know what I mean? And that's how I listen to music, and that's how I haven't always done that. It's only since I started writing myself that that I do that, because now I look at myself and I think, what am I going to write about, and where's this coming from, and why am I writing about it? You sort of you question yourself, and it takes a little while before you get the sound that you want. I've got a great producer, I've got some great people backing me, and we'll go to and fro quite often, and I'll say, no, I don't like that. It's not what I want. It's the sound that I'm looking for. So we'll go back to the drawing board, keep it going until I'm happy with it. And I guess the boys might get a little bit peeved off with me because they think they're doing a great job, and I'll say, no, it's not what I want. You know what I mean? And look, I'm probably not the only. Everyone's probably gone through the same thing with all the songs that they've written, because you just want it to sound right, the way it sounded in your head when it first came to being. That's the way you want it to sound. That's the way you want it to come across. And quite often, people will veer off and take a different path to what they initially wanted their music to sound like. But then for some reason, they always seem to go back to that original one again, because that's where it grew, if you know what I mean. That's where you were really searching within yourself. What am I going to write about? How am I going to put this down on paper? How am I going to get it how am I going to make people understand it? So you end up coming back to the original version that you first wrote, because that's where it all started, and that's where it means the most. I don't know. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I look. I'm going to be doing this as long as I can. It's a great feeling. It's a great rush. It's a great ride, and I'm just enjoying the experience of it all. There was a song that I wrote. Actually, it's called "It's Not That Easy," which I wrote for Vanessa. Actually, I dedicated it to her, because some of the words in the song relate to how I started with her help. And if you listen to that song, you probably got all of my singles. So if you have a listen to "It's Not That Easy," you'll hear in the song my reference to Vanessa, but without mentioning names. It just
Right.
it just it just sort of mentions about someone who helped me get on, to get on with my music, basically. And of course, she was very happy about that.
Is that one of your favorite songs?
Um, One of I'm not sure. Look, my favorite song of mine. I haven't really thought about it, to be quite honest, Russell. Um, I just I'm just trying to keep pumping them out, and I haven't really thought about a favorite. I guess in a way, in a sentimental kind of way, I guess yes, it's probably a favorite. In that Vanessa was part of me coming to being musically. You know, but no, look, I like all of them. I don't think I have a favorite as such.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what do you think about today's music compared to maybe in the past? Do you like it? You don't like it? What's your feedback you want to share with us?
Okay, define today's music.
Well, so funny you should ask me that question. So, Beyonce, a lot of your top 40 artists now are transitioning over into the country spectrum right now. Beyonce has a brand new song called Texas Hold'em. And, here's an artist that spent pretty much her entire career, cranking out some top 40 music, so on and so forth. And all of a sudden now, she transitions over to the country platform and cranks out that new song that we just shared with you, Texas Hold'em. That's one example. So, you know, I mean, obviously, music is changing right now. A lot of the artists they're not pretty much staying put in their platforms. They're kind of like, experimenting with other platforms. What do you think?
Well, look, I have a lot of respect for artists who put music out there. It's a lot of hard work, and it certainly isn't an easy thing to do. People might think, oh, it's easy to write songs and get them out there. Well, it's not. Um, when you go back to the 30s and 40s, and you look at people like Hank Lachlan, Jim Reeves, people like that, and you think how country music has evolved from then to now. I guess it's all part of the evolution process, to me. As long as, and I'm trying to be very diplomatic about this because I don't want to tread on anybody's toes. There is a lot of country music out there that really, how can I say?
Not very
It's
good. I'll say it for you.
okay. All right. Thank you.
I
No,
got your
no,
back, brother. When you come to
without
our show, we got you.
without pinpointing it. No, you're exactly right. It's not. I wouldn't exactly call it country. I mean, it's almost like. Um, I mean, even country rock. Country rock is pretty good. I mean, you've people like Garth Brooks, Keith Urban. People like that. Great music. But without pinpointing anyone in particular, there is a lot of music out there that is leaning towards country rap, and we all know what you get when you mix country and rap.
Oh yeah, never a good remedy there.
So, so look, I guess it's all part of the evolution, and and a lot of artists, I guess, they want to try and bring out their own rendition of what they feel country music is about. Okay, they like country music, but they don't like the traditional type of music. They want to make it more modern, and there's nothing wrong with making it modern as long as you don't get too involved in all of the high-tech stuff that they use these days. I mean, auto tune. I mean, auto tune was first developed to help people who couldn't sing in tune. Basically, it used to help to get them in tune. But now it's not used for that. It's used as an effect, and it sounds great. It sounds great. But when you start using synthesizers and all this other kind of stuff that people use for country music, I really don't think there's a place for it, to be quite honest. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Like I said, everyone has their own idea of what country music should be. And I guess the younger generation who are coming up now doing country music, they just want to bring out their own feelings. They want to project to the community and to their peers, I guess, their own feelings, and they do it the best way that they can. And the best way that they can do it is to try and keep it as modern as possible, because that's the era they grew up in. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily have to like it. I mean, it's there. It's going to be there, and it's going to get. Well, I wouldn't say it's going to get worse. It's going to happen more and more often. But I guess people have their own way of expressing themselves, and if that's the only way that they can express themselves, well, then so be it. As long as the other people like myself, and Vanessa Bourne and Troy Cassadalis and the all the other country music artists, as long as we stick to what we do and we do it our way and we don't cross over, we'll be keeping country music alive as we know it today.
That's awesome.
Let those guys do what they want to do, and if that's how they want to express themselves, well, then that's great. But and I don't think it's changing the face of country music like some people say, and some people write about it as well. What country music is and what it used to be, and well, Country music is what it used to be, as long as the people that are doing that keep it that way. If you allow yourself to cross over to the more modern side of country music, where it's taking a lot of that tradition away, well, then yes, you can honestly say country music isn't what it is today, as it was yesterday. Well, let let what's going to happen. Let the people do what they've got to do. Let them get on with it, and let them express themselves, because it's still music, regardless. Let them do what they've got to do, but within yourself, keep it real, and be honest to yourself, and keep what you do real. Just don't cross over. As long as you don't cross over, you're fine. Well, that's the way I look at it anyway, and just putting it in as simple terms as I possibly can.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I kind of feel the same way you do. I mean, if you want to cross over the country, then be country, not try to, as you're saying, try to add something that's not there for country. So I love that answer. How can
Yeah.
our people watching now or will be watching later, how can they contact you and how can they download your music?
Well, as you know, Blue Shamrock Music is probably the best place to go to download my music. All of my singles are there, and of course, you can have a little bit of a listen to each of the songs and pre-listen and download the ones you want. But as I said, uh, pretty soon, once I get this other song, well, the other song is actually written; it's ready to go. I've just got to try and work out the artwork. I've got to write a blurb for it. I've got to do a bio. I've got to do a little bit of. I've got to do a lot of work that happens in the background before I actually put it out there for the album. But um, I've still got to get the CDs printed, so it's going to actually be a hard copy. So you'll be able to buy from Blue Shamrock. You'll be able to buy a digital album as you can with all of my singles, digital in WAV or MP3 format. You will also be able to buy a hard copy. So once I've got them all printed out, basically, Stephen will look after that side of things for me. He'll email me a list of people who have ordered the hard copy, and there'll be a price, but that's yet to be determined. Um, Probably looking around maybe $20 to $25 Australian. Um, so they'll be able to get a hard copy from me. So Stephen will email me the names and addresses of all the people who have ordered the hard copy, and I'll then send it out to them. So
Awesome.
that's how you can get my music. I'm pretty sure you can get it on iTunes as well. I mean, if you have an iTunes account, I don't know if a lot of people use iTunes anymore. A lot of people are using Spotify and things like that. But I find that there are a lot of platforms out there that you can release your music to, and if you don't read the fine print, you don't know where your music's going. And there are a lot of free sites outside and out there, I should say. There are a lot of free sites out there where you can download music for absolutely nothing. You don't have
Oh,
to
yeah.
subscribe. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to do anything. If you know the site, you can go onto the site and you can download music. And that's one of the reasons why I stay away from some of these other platforms, because you don't know where they're sending your music to. There's so much stuff out there, and I keep checking to see if I'm on there, and I'm not. So I know that I'm safe in sending my music to the platforms that I send them to, and they are the only sites that actually sell my music, like iTunes, Shazam, and there's a like a handful of others as well. But I don't look. I'm not knocking Spotify, but it's just not for me. Um, and there are a lot of other platforms out there as well that they're just not for me, because your music's going out without your knowledge to a lot of free sites, and that's wrong. You're in the business to make a little bit of a profit. I mean, as an independent artist, you're not making money on singles. It's your albums and your shows that you make the money from. But if
Right.
people are starting, but if your music is going out to platforms where people can get it for nothing, well, then that's just daylight robbery. It's just not right.
So let me ask you this question. I mean, that's a very interesting point. I mean, I always use the term nobody works for free. I mean, all the time, the energy that you put in to producing your music, to making it, to getting it out to the general public, to try to get as many people to buy into what you're doing. I love hearing you say that.
Mm.
Um, so let's go on stage now. You're getting ready to do a big show tonight. Do you have any pre-event rituals you do, like anything to kind of get you ready to rock the house?
To be quite honest, no. I basically, before I leave the house, I will probably sing a few songs just to get the vocals warmed up a little bit, and I'll probably sing in the car on the way to the gig. I'll put on a couple of songs of mine, and I'll sing along with them. And but other than that, for the actual show itself, I have no rituals. I don't do any prep or anything like that. I don't rehearse. I know what I'm going to do, and I just get out there and do it.
No,
a
that's
lot of people,
awesome.
a lot of people say, "But you've got to rehearse." So, well, if you know what you're doing and you've done it often enough, why do you have to rehearse it? You know it. Why do you have to rehearse it? Why do you have to rehearse doing something that you? I mean, if I know I'm going to do a 100-kilometer run tomorrow, why do I have to do a 100-kilometer run today? I know I'm going to do a 100-kilometer run tomorrow. I know I can do it. Why do I have to do it today? You know what I mean?
Oh
That's
yeah,
just you
absolutely.
know what if you know what you got to do, why rehearse it? The only thing I probably think about is if someone throws me a question, how am I going to answer it? And I have all these different things going through my head at times, wondering, if someone asks me something, how am I going to answer it? And I often wonder, well, what is it really that someone's going to ask you? The only thing, the only thing that comes to mind, and the only thing that has happened, is people will often, people near the front of the stage will often say, "Where can we get your music?" you know, or when you're packing up ready to go, people will come up and they'll shake your hand. They'll want to do a selfie, and they'll say, "Where can we get your music? And where are you playing next?" It's like that's the only thing really I get. Occasionally, people want to sit there and have a conversation like we're having, and I'm thinking, well, I just want to go home to bed.
Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
Hobbies outside of music. Let me see now. Well, I am a cabinet maker by trade, so I like to delve
Really?
around. Yeah, so I like to turn my hand to a little bit of woodworking and stuff like that, doing things around the house. And of course, my wife loves it because she knows she's getting stuff done for free without having to get somebody into having to pay for it. I mean, you still got to pay for materials, but you know. Um, but yeah, I love working with wood. I love working with my hands and doing things like that. And that's probably one of my real hobbies. I don't think I have any other hobbies. No, I think woodworking is probably it. You know,
For the upcoming aspiring artists you are watching now that we'll be watching later, what words of advice would you give them?
the same words of advice that were given to me.
That's a trick
keep,
question.
keep it keep it real and be yourself. Don't try. Look, there are a lot of people who are trying to do other people's stuff, and they're trying to sound like them, and there are just so many Elvis people. There's there's so Elvis is probably one of the most impersonated artists in the world. You know, and but there's just so much you can take of that. I mean, if you're that good, fine. You sound like Elvis, great, good on you. People want to hear that kind of thing. I'm a big Elvis fan, and Elvis Presley, and Engelbert Humperdinck and Jim Reeves are all people who inspired me to start singing in the first place, all those years ago. But, there's just so much you can take of people doing impersonations of that one person. I mean, if you sound like him, you sound like him. How are you going to sound different? How are you going to make it different? Are you going to make Elvis's voice sound different? I mean, if you're doing an Elvis voice, you're doing an Elvis voice. You know,
Right.
everyone sort of, they practice the moves and they do this. Look, just keep it real. Be yourself. Stop trying to be somebody else. Find your own rhythm, and do what you love doing and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride, but don't get onto someone else's bandwagon. That's done. That's been done already. I've released one cover song, and I doubt that I'll release too many cover songs, because I mean, it's been done. It's been done. Um, I just want to do my stuff. I don't want to do anyone else's. I want to do
Right.
my stuff. I released "Girl of Mine" because it was dear to me, um, and my wife loves it. It's one of her favourites of his. Well, Engelbert first sang that, and then Elvis took it to new levels, and then I got a hold of it. but
I love
but
it.
no, it's all right. It's done really well, and all of my songs have been on charts. If it hasn't been on Blue Shamrock, it's been on Irish charts. If it's not on the Irish charts, it's been on the Joyce Ramgatti charts. If it hasn't been on that one, there are so many different charts around the world that my music has been on, and I'm so grateful for that. But guys people coming up into the music industry now, just keep it real. Do your own thing. Don't do someone else's. That's already been done. That's yesterday's news. That's the way I look at it.
Up to this point in your musical career, was one highlight that stands out to you?
Up till now.
Yep. Go back in time if you want, but from your musical journey, is there like one highlight that just means so much to you? Which one is it and why?
All right. Well, I guess we can probably go back to my school days when we used to have, I don't know, I'm not sure what they called them in the US, but we called them school socials. And at the end of every term, we have a band performing, and we all go and sing and dance and have a good time. We had a band play at my school called Hush. Now, I don't know. Hush is way back from the 70s, so I don't know whether you've ever heard of them. They're an Australian band. And they played at my school social. And the drummer, from what I can remember, was a little bit under the weather. I think he could have been a little bit inebriated, actually, to be quite honest. And and a lot of the people at school who used to hang around outside the garage, or where we used to play our music, knew me as a drummer, because that's the first thing I ever did. Actually, I'll tell you, just a short story. I first started playing harmonica, right? So I learned to play the harmonica. The second thing I taught myself to do was to play the guitar. And then from the guitar, I taught myself to play drums. So all of these things I've never had lessons. I sing by ear, I play by ear, I play the drums by ear, play guitar by ear, play everything by ear. I've never had lessons. But at this particular school social, the drummer, they were a bit late coming back on stage, and there was a bit of a hoo-ha about what was going on, and the kids were getting grumpy because they just wanted to dance. So someone went up and said something to what's the guy's name? I can't remember his name now. It's goodness me, it's a long time ago. We've got someone here who can play drums for you. So I got on. Now, back in the day, in the 70s, we used to have a TV show called Countdown. You probably remember that. You probably heard of it.
I
And
have.
of course, all the Daryl Braithwaite, Sherbet, Skyhooks, Hush, AC/DC, all of these people have all been on Countdown, and I I thought, wow, someone's actually put my name forward to get up and play drums for this band, and this is like, it's not just a local band. This is a famous band, it's been on Countdown. Everyone's heard of it, and I'm thinking, wow, I get to play drums. So I got up and I played drums, and that was probably one of my biggest highlights. I think playing the drums at my own school social for a very popular band, back in the 70s. That was a real blast. It's fantastic. Yeah, that would have to be a highlight. Yeah.
Awesome. As we wind down our interview, again, being brought to you by Blues Shamrock Music, and a special thank you to Mr. Stephen Brady, who supplies our artists each and every week. So as you're watching now or next week, or even after the show, every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have another artist courtesy of Blues Shamrock Music. Any final thoughts as we wind down our interview this evening?
Any final thoughts? No, just keep an eye out for my music. And thank you all for your support. I really do appreciate it. And this goes out to everybody and all of the radio stations around the world who support me in my musical journey. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I hope you keep supporting me. And all those people who are coming up in the ranks, good luck to you guys. I wish you all the very best of luck from me and my team. So all the very best. And thank you,
awesome.
Russell. And a big thank you to Blue Shamrock as well, and Stephen Brady.
Yes. And well, how did you meet Stephen and Shamrock Music? How did that come about for you?
I haven't actually met the guy yet, but because Blue Shamrock actually released my music. They're the ones that actually distribute my music. And Vanessa was the one who actually put me onto them. She said, now that you've written your song, you need to get it distributed. She said, and I know someone who can do that for you. And she put me onto Blue Shamrock. So that's who I've stuck with. I've done a lot of research from a lot of other people, and I keep coming back to Blue Shamrock. They're the best in my book,
That's awesome. Yeah. That's like so awesome. And well, thank you for your time. And
thank you so much for having me.
And I just had some lemon water. Went down the wrong pipe. No.
My coffee's cold now.
We got coffee. So everyone watching that, I got the lemon water. And then Glenn's got the coffee going on. So we got a good mixture going on here.
We do. Just don't put them in the same
friend, I do the morning show with an artist. Her name is Shauna Brown. And she actually was sitting in your seat not too long ago. And now she's one of my morning show hosts. And so tomorrow morning on our show, I'm going to dedicate to you your amazing music and your journey. So we're going to kick off the Russell K. Alexa and Sean Brown morning show. A special tribute to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much.
And we'll keep in touch here, and we'll do it again. Until then, my friend, thank you for making music great. You just keep on doing what you're doing. It's so nice to meet you, and we're going to do this again, I promise.
Thank you so much, Russell. I appreciate it very much, my friend.
You too, my friend. Be safe, and you have a wonderful evening.
And same to you. Take care. All the best.
All right. Again, thank you so much for watching the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show with my friend, Mr. Glenn Levi. What an amazing interview we had. He's an amazing artist, and make sure you download his music. Go to blueshamrockmusic.com, and you'll be able to get all of his music. Again, special thank you to Mr. Stephen Brady and also Blues Shamrock Music for, as I mentioned throughout the show, each and every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Please make sure you tell your family and friends about us. And if you're an upcoming aspiring artist, want to get some exposure, definitely reach out to Blues Shamrock Music. Again, it's your friend Russell K. Till the next time, you be safe, and thanks for watching.